Welcome to Esper Nightmares. Hope you're excited for some Esper control. Ready to counter some things, blow some stuff up, get down a threat, and close the game out? Sounds like a plan. So let's take a look at some of the stuff in the deck that really helps us push that game plan. That's going to be counter spells. We're running Absorb and Sinister Sabotage in this deck. In this particular build, I want to run some sort of counter spell that's going to be a hard answer for anything that our opponent's trying to get down. Negate is definitely a nice card, counter target non-creature spell. But with Absorb and Sinister Sabotage, both of these cards allow us to counter whatever sort of threat our opponent's trying to get onto the battlefield. And at the same time, like Absorb, we're going to be able to gain 3 life. With Sinister Sabotage, you're going to be able to Surveil for 1. You definitely want to run some sort of hard counter answer in your deck and also get some sort of extra value by countering those spells. You can definitely run Negating in there if you want to, Syncopate or something like Quench. Or those are perfectly fine counter spells. But as far as this particular build, what I'm trying to do, I wanted to run a hard answer for whatever they're trying to get down. And both of these cards are wonderful, wonderful cards to add to your Esper control deck. Now, the other card that I really enjoyed in my playtesting is going to be Thought Erasure. Target opponent reveals their hand. You get to choose an on-land card from that, and they have to discard it. Then you get to Surveil for 1. This isn't modern. This isn't Thoughtseize. We don't get to just cast it for 1 black mana. But this feels really good in 1 versus 1 commander. The fact that you can get this down on turn 2, get rid of their mid-game threat, their late-game threat, then still get some sort of card advantage. It just feels really good. We're running 4 copies in here, and I highly recommend running 4 copies. It really just kind of helps you make sure you keep that stuff out of your hand, and then you can leave up something like Absorb or Sinister Sabotage after you go for Thought Erasure to really kind of make sure that you keep a lockdown on the board state. Now, let's move on to some of the finishers for the deck. We're running Teferi in here and Seraph of Scales. If you've never played a control deck before, what are you trying to do? You're basically trying to stop whatever they got going on, destroy whatever they have on the battlefield, or get down some sort of card advantage value engine. And that's definitely going to be Teferi. So we get down Teferi, we can +1 draw a card, and then we get to untap our lands, which is going to allow us to kind of keep some of those counter spells up. We can use that -3 to tuck something away. And if there's just not a lot going on your opponent's side of the battlefield, you can go for that -8. And then once that -8 resolved, that is pretty much good game because you can exile all their lands, and that feels really good. Outside of getting down some sort of dominating planeswalker like Teferi, you also want to get down some sort of flying threat, something like Seraph of the Scales. This is going to allow us to kind of keep up some sort of counter magic. It only does cost 4 mana. We can start attacking our opponent's life total as they spend resources to deal with this threat on the battlefield. We can hold up that counter magic, or we can hold up that spot removal. Long story short, you just get down something that's going to be a big pressure on your opponent's life total, and at the same time, you're going to be able to protect it. And both of these cards certainly allow us to do that. Keeping on theme with the Angel, we're also running Angel of Grace in here. I love this card in this deck. There's a lot of times we get this down, we can reduce some sort of life total. That does happen, but for the most part, we get it down as simply just a 5/4 flyer. Your opponent deals with it. Then we have a 6 mana activation out of the graveyard, just kind of get reset on life, and it feels so good to go for that 6 mana activation, reset your life to 10, especially if it's gotten down really low. And then, of course, Spawn of Mayhem. That's going to keep us on that same kind of Angel game plan. There's a lot of times we get down that flying and trample 4/4, get that damage being dealt to them. You are playing a control match where you're going to go to the late game, and so a lot of time your life total is going to be down really low. So you get down Spawn of Mayhem, get that +1 counter going on it, end up with a really nice demon with flying and trample, and your opponent's going to be like, wow, that is so fun. Can't wait for you to attack again. We're also running Dream Eater in here. This is going to be kind of double duty with Dream Eater. It's going to allow us to kind of control the board state by sending something back to our opponent's hand. It's going to give us card advantage with Surveil for 4. And then the fact that it's just a 4/3 flyer. This is a wonderful card for any sort of Esper deck or blue-based control deck. When you're playing 1 versus 1, a lot of 1 versus 1 arena, you want to have something that has multiple modes on it, that does multiple things to kind of help you not have to run certain cards in here. And Dream Eater certainly does that. Love the card. Love the art. A+ card on this one. Now, as far as you're playing Esper Control, one thing you definitely want to run is board wipe. So we're running Kaya's Wrath in here, destroy all creatures, then we gain life equal to the number of creatures we control. Most of the time we go for Kaya's Wrath, we want to get down some sort of threat. We want to get down the Seraph Angel, we want to get down Dream Eater. And so we're not really going to be able to get a ton of that life gain off of Kaya's Wrath, but we just want to clear the board. We make sure it's clear for those flying threats to get down, and Kai's Wrath certainly helps us do that. We're also running Brass's Contempt, and this is a wonderful way for us to make sure that we keep our opponent's planeswalkers off the battlefield, and that life gain makes a huge difference in a control shell like this. Typically, 1 or 2 Brass's Contempt is what is the stabilizing factor in stabilizing against some sort of burn deck or some sort of aggro deck. So definitely be running Brass's in here. As far as some of the other spot removal, we're running Cast Down, Mortal Mortify. Mortify actually does a really good job in this deck. You know, there's a lot of the gate decks going around, so you can use Mortify as spot removal on either the Ram or the Colossus, or you can actually use it to blast that Guild Summit. You definitely want to cut off that card advantage, so Mortify really definitely pulls double duty in this deck, but like I mentioned, we're running Esper control. You definitely want to have some sort of spot removal in here. Now, outside of the finishers, outside of the counter spells, the spot removal, you definitely want to run some sort of cantrip, some sort of card advantage. So we've got Opt and Anticipate. Both of these cards, pretty much that's what they're in there for. We go for Opt, we can hold up a counter spell, we can go for Opt or Anticipate just to dig a little bit deeper into our library and find some sort of answer. Outside of the cantrips, we are running Chemister's Insight, which is kind of like our payoff card draw source for the deck. Draw 2 cards, and we can also jumpstart it out of the graveyard. Let's say that we've made all of our land drops, we've got more than enough mana. Simply having Chemister's Insight in the graveyard and then dumping a land card that you don't need to draw 2 more cards. It's a great feeling because typically you can do it at the end of your opponent's turn, and that'll really set you up to make sure you can kind of keep the game going. And of course, Mission Briefing. This is going to be kind of like the Snapcaster for the deck. There's a lot of times where I'm only running 1 copy in here, so you might want to run a few more copies, but I really enjoy it. Surveil for 2. At the worst case scenario, let's say you have nothing in the graveyard. It's a 2 mana instant speed Surveil for 2, which is not that bad. You can definitely take that in 1 versus 1, but where it really shines is late game. So let's say that you've got 5 mana, no counterspell, your opponent's trying to make sure their Teferi resolves, you go for Mission Briefing, you can recast that Absorb. It just keeps your entire graveyard into your second hand, and it is a wonderful card, especially if it's just a 1-up. You know, it's going to keep your opponent guessing, do they have it or do they not have it? But that's going to be it for the deck tech, so make sure you stick around. We've got some awesome gameplay videos for you coming up next. Welcome to Esper Nightmares. Hope you're excited to fight the elf lady. It's always fun. So our opening hand goes, yeah, I kind of like this. We got double Mortify, we've got Thought Erasure, a little bit of a hand disruption. I'd like to see some sort of late game threat, or, you know, Teferi or Angel of Grace, but 2 removal spells and a hand disruption spell, definitely take that, and we've pretty much got our mana base. We do need to find at least 1 white source to be on for Kaya's Wrath, but we will take this. So let's go and have this enter the battlefield tap. That way we can lead off with Glacial Fortress, and then we will go from there. But yes, welcome to some Esper Nightmares. I've been did a practice warm-up game earlier, and I'm pretty excited to play it. It's a lot of fun. It looks like we're playing against Mono Blue. I've been calling it Slippery Salamander right now, but we'll see what else they roll out, because it could be the Izzet version. Let's get down Glacial Fortress, but in fact, we can actually take a look, and we'll be able to see exactly what they've got cooking in their kitchen. So that's, yes, it's going to be the Mono Blue deck. DJ Tempest, we've got Wizard's Retort. I think at this point, since they do have Wizard's Retort, we're going to take Wizard's Retort, and we're going to leave, Kaya's Wrath. Do we want that on top? You know what, let's go and put that on the bottom for right now. Even if we do put it on top, we still need a second white source, which we don't have. And then if they decide to go for DJ Tempest, we can at least go for Mortify, and he's spinning the hot beats. And then we can go for double Mortify for both of these DJ Tempest. So we got the Slippery Salamander swinging in for 1. Now the deck our opponent is playing is a ton of fun. You know, I've got this one, I kind of played this one the other day. Do we want to leave up Mortify? Yeah, let's do this. So let's go ahead and get down, we'll get down Swamp. That way it'll put us on, you know, we can go for Mortify, or at the very worst case scenario, we'll go for Anticipate the end of our opponent's turn. But yeah, you know, with that particular deck, they get down the 1-drop Merfolk. I cannot remember its name, but it's unblockable. And what it can do is it basically just, you put down the Curiosity enchantment on there, or whatever that one is, and whenever they deal damage, they get to draw a card. So it's definitely one of those decks that it's super cheap as far as cost-wise goes. In fact, you don't have to run DJ Tempest if you don't have it, since it's a rare. But do we want to try to Anticipate to hit a white source? But it's a lot of fun to pilot, and it's pretty potent sometimes. We could go for... Yeah, let's just see what our opponent gets going. So we'll go and put down Watery Grave into play tapped. That way we're just not taking any damage. You know, late game, once they get down DJ Tempest, it's kind of, it can get pretty nutty sometimes with how much power and toughness it does have. So we're going to at least kind of keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully we hit that white source. We'll be able to go for Kaya's Wrath. And with this Anticipate, it'll definitely allow us to kind of dig into our library just a little bit deeper. But yeah, if you're looking for a fun kind of Delver-style deck to play, that is certainly your jam. It is a lot of fun. And while they're tapped out, we don't have to worry about a Wizard's Retort. Let's go for Mortify on DJ Tempest. So we're going to take care of him. No more club music. and then we run into Opt. Okay, so you know what? While they're tapped out, they don't really have any counter magic. Let's go ahead and go for Anticipate. We want to be online for that white source. Seraph the Scales, black. I guess at this point right now, instead of Sinister Sabotage, that would be a good answer. But yeah, I kind of like getting down Seraph of the Scales. And then in fact, while they still don't have any counter magic, let's go for Opt, because we still want to dig for that. There we go. Just going to put that on top. We'll draw into it. Let's go and put that into play tapped. Not going to pay 2 life, and then we'll just go and kick it back over to our opponent. So we got the Slippery Salamander on the battlefield. It is sitting at a 1/1. To my knowledge, yeah, they've only got 1 instant in the graveyard, so they're still looking at about a Curious Obsession. That's what that card is. And so we'll see what else they roll out. They do have 4 more mana. So if they kind of extend into this open board state, we'll definitely end up going for Kaya's Wrath, and we can get down Seraph of the Scales to hopefully kind of end up on cleanup duty. Now, the Salamander Drake is not a wizard, so we don't have to worry about Wizard's Retort. So I am perfectly fine with going for Kaya's Wrath at this point. Yeah, and you know what, just in case you're running into a Quench or whatever that 2 mana leak for 2 is, let's get down Drowned Catacomb and then go for Kaya's Wrath. So we're going to... This is definitely worth it to take care of that Slippery Salamander over there. In fact, if they do have that removal, that counterspell, then we'll pay for the 2, and then we'll try to get down Seraph of the Scales. There we go. We're going to take care of that. Yeah, if you let if you're new to Magic, if you're new to Arena, if you let some sort of effect like Slippery Salamander and Curious Obsession just go on through the entire game, it's not going to be good for you. You're going to lose the game due to just a ton of card advantage. So that's kind of what ends up happening. Okay, so we get pretty lucky. We run into Rass's Contempt. That's going to be getting down Seraph of Scales. The question is, do we want to take a hit at this point right now? I think we try to stick a Rass's Contempt because there's no wizards out there. There's only 2 mana. Yeah, I think we go for that. Let's go Rass's Contempt on DJ Tempest. And we'll keep our fingers crossed as this does stick. Because they don't have enough mana for Wizard's Retort, and then that'll get rid of DJ Tempest. And, I don't know, he kind of does look like he has a DJ table. I don't know, it just kind of makes me laugh. Let's get down Watery Grave. It's going to come into play tapped. And we're actually pretty good on life total. You know, we've gotten down a lot of shocks. We've depleted a lot of our opponent's resources. We can get down Seraph of the Scales and then really start, that Siren Storm Tamer is just a little bit too late. It's probably what they drew into this turn. But that does feel good that we were able to stick that card. And then Hollowed Fountain. Okay, so let's get down Seraph of the Scales. We'll be able to get her down. That still puts us on a couple activated abilities. And, you know, at this point right now, we don't really need to hide anything. We're just going to have this come into play tapped, and we'll go and kick it back over there. Sometimes when you're playing the control matchup, sometimes you just want to hold on to a land like that just to kind of represent some sort of counter magic. But at this point right now, we don't know what our turns have, so we're going to go and get it down because we're pretty much kind of in top deck mode. Okay, so we got Mistcloaked Herald swinging in for 1. It's going to put us down to 15. And with Seraph of the Scales, we can give it Vigilance with just 1 white mana activation. And basically just kind of keep it up on... Ooh, there we go. The 1-2 punch. All right, let's go and push in. Ooh, let's give it Vigilance first, after I just got done talking about it. Let's go to the combat. Let's swing in with Seraph of Scales. It's going to be 1 attacker. And if they want to block with Siren Storm Tamer, they certainly can. I mean, that's just going to be a little chump block. And if they've got some sort of removal, the good thing is that Seraph does replace herself with the Afterlife for 2. All right, so let's go for Spawn of Mayhem on the Spectacle cost. Yes, definitely do that. Get that down for 3 mana. And the good thing about Spawn of Mayhem is we're going to be able to get that down. If they've got a counter spell, so be it. We've got Seraph on the Scales of the battlefield. That's what Essence Capture. That's fine. Okay, so they're going to put a +1 counter on Mistcloaked Herald. So we've got ourselves a little bit of a clock at this point right now. All right, anything else now? We'll kick it back over there. Yeah, we could have waited to have some sort of counterspell in our hand, but when you're playing against mono blue, we're trying to make sure their resources are just kind of strained at most points. If you just roll out threat after threat, it really kind of forces them to use cards when normally they wouldn't. So with that Essence Capture, it's not like a normal counterspell. They can't counter Teferi with it, but at least by us rolling out Spawn of Mayhem, they have to get it out of their hands. So we just basically make it to where they don't have a buildup of resources in their opening hand, especially once we have a threat like this on the battlefield. Okay, this is really good. Let's go for Teferi. Let's give Seraph of Scales Vigilance. Go and push in. That way, if they've got any sort of combat trick action, we can at least kind of force that out of their hand, and we'll swing in for 4. Knock them down to 12. Yeah, we could wait on a counter spell, but it's kind of one of those moments like if they've got an answer, they're gonna have to burn it on the Teferi right now. They don't want Teferi to stick because we can simply just -3 on one of these creatures. If they want, oh, there we go. We get Teferi to stick. That is really good. Do we want to go for the -3? So we can go for the -3 with Teferi on Mistcloaked Herald. That's going to put it on the bottom. They sack. I think we're better served just digging with some card advantage. Yeah. I mean, that would be a nice opportunity. Ooh, and we draw to absorb and get to untap. Yes, yes, yes. I will take it. Let's untap Watery Grave, and we'll go ahead and untap Godless Shrine, because that should be just enough mana. Yeah, there we go. We got more than enough for absorb. So we've got at least Seraph of the Scales on the battlefield. We can go for a black mana activation to give it Death Touch if we need to. And then we've got at least a 3-turn clock swinging in the air. So we'll see what our opponent can deploy out for the turn, but at least we do have Absorb. We've got a card draw source into Teferi, and then apparently our opponent has no counterspell, because if they did, well, they might have something like Essence Capture, but they don't have any sort of hard counterspell action. All right, so we got Mistcloak swinging in for 3, and thankfully we can outrace these Cloak Heralds. That's what matters. Now, if they get down Curiosity, that would definitely not be good for us because that'll really kind of ramp their card advantage up. But we've got a hard counter in the hand, and that is exactly what we want to see at this point right now. Let's give Seraph Vigilance. Let's go and go for the +1 off of Teferi. We just want to cash in some card draw and just build up as much resources as possible. Ooh, Mission Briefing. Okay. We'll get down Plains. Let's go and push in with Seraph of the Scales. And we'll get our graveyard popped up. So we do have Mortify. We've got Kaya's Wrath if we want to go for the reset. But I think at this point, we'll add up how much mana we've got. It's going to put them down to 8. We can Mission Briefing. Yeah, because I think we might be able to absorb, Mission Briefing, and absorb. Let's go and untap Glacial Fortress, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'll be 3, 6, and then 2 off of Mission Briefing. Yeah, we can certainly do that. Do we want to dig for Opt at this point? I think that's okay. They can go for the Scry 1. Whatever they find with Opt, we can certainly, we have that hard answer in our hand with Absorb. And then if they do find another answer to stop our answer, we at least still have Mission Briefing. So, and this is one of the good things about running Mission Briefing in one of your decks. Is this is so, that'll definitely get the Absorb out of our hand. So we're going to go for Counterspell. We gain 3 life. We'll see if that's going to bring another spell out of their hand. If not, even if it does go to the graveyard, we can still Mission Briefing. But yeah, it's always good to run stuff like this in any sort of control shell that you're building. You just want to have access to as many, having something like Mission Briefing basically turns your entire graveyard into a second hand, and especially late game, which is what you're trying to do. Opponent's going to go for Sleep. I think that's... we want to close this game out, so let's go for Mission Briefing. We're going to survive for 2. It's going to allow us to dig just a little bit deeper into our library, and at the same time, that's if that last card's a counter spell, so be it. Ooh, Sinister Sabotage. That's exactly what we want to see. And then let's go for Absorb out of the graveyard. So we're going to counter that Absorb spell. That's going to give us a little bit more life. We can outrace this Mistcloak Herald. If that last spell in their hand is a counter spell, it's not the end of the world. That Sleep resolves. Spellbreakers, yeah, that's perfectly fine. They'll be able to tap down the Herald, but at least we'll have Sinister Sabotage on top, and then we have Teferi being able to kind of just dig a little bit deeper. But yeah, that's we can beat that. We've got some pretty good life gain off of those 2 double absorbs. So we're going to let our opponent swing in however they want, and that'll be 4, putting us down to 9. And then we'll see what Teferi can hopefully dig out from the library for us. Okay, we got Sinister Sabotage. Let's go and go for the +1 off of Teferi. Draw a card. We've drawn to, Angel of Grace, which is going to be absolutely wonderful. Now, what we can do is we can flash an Angel of Grace at this point right now while they're yeah, I think that's going to be better. Because if they draw into Essence Capture or something, that's not really what we want to see. So we'll get down Angel of Grace. That's going to put us on Sinister Sabotage, which is basically going to be a hard answer for whatever they've got. We'll untap double Watery Grave, and then thankfully that's going to be 4/3. That's going to be 9 in the air, so they're going to have to leave up Siren Stormtamer to stop what we've got going on our side of the battlefield. So, and also, let's say that they do end up somehow doing something. We're getting really close to Teferi Ultimate to where we can exile. Exiling our opponent's permanent. Sorry, I don't know why it's so hard to kind of process that. And then we'll see what that last card in their hand is, but we got Sinister Sabotage to stop it. So, all right, draw into Godless Shrine. Let's go and plus up onto Fairy. That way we can draw a card before we decide to swing in to see if we can't get anything else. Get a Swamp. Put down Godless Shrine into play tapped. Let's go for Seraph. We're going to give it Vigilance. Now, this will end up forcing the Siren Storm Tamer to probably end up blocking because this will end up being lethal. Let's go and swing it with both of them. That's going to be 9 coming across, and then whatever that last card in their hand is, we got Sinister Sabotage. So we're in a pretty good position to stop that. So that's going to be 4, puts them down to 4, and then we're going to have the Teferi. Yeah, we're just going to kick it back over there. Let's untap the Godless Shrine and the Plains. We'll have a full assortment of mana. That does put them swinging in for 3 at this point right now, which puts us down to 3. But even if they've got another sleep and another counterspell, that would have to be... All right, opponent's going to scoop it up. We'll definitely take it on this one. This is exactly what you want to be doing in some sort of Esper control shell. You know, get down, get rid of all the creatures your opponent's got on the battlefield, go for some board wipes, and then once you've kind of cleared the way and you've just really depleted your opponent's resources, get out something like Teferi and just go to town on drawing cards and then close the game out that way. And we made it to gold, so hey... Awesome. Basically, I've kind of changed the way I've recorded my videos. Instead of jumping into the 7-game queue or whatever, I'm just recording in the ranked room because there's a lot more interactive games like this, and I really enjoyed the Magic. It's pretty fun. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Esper Control. Play against Vivian. Let's go. Got the ghost animals. As far as opening game goes, we've got Glacial Fortress, Anticipate, Sinister Sabotage. Yeah, I kind of like this. You know, we can definitely use Anticipate to dig for a black source. I mean, we're really far away from Restless Contempt and not having black at all, and Thought Erasure. But yeah, I like being on for Sinister Sabotage and Anticipate. So hopefully we're not playing against mono red, and that'll allow us to kind of stabilize, hopefully. But yes, and as far as what we're recording this game, playing against Gruul Guildgate. We might be playing against Temur Gates, which if that's the case, I'm pumped. I love playing against Temur Gates. Let's get down Island. And then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. So basically, I tried to record some of these series in the constructed queues, and I didn't mind doing that. But kind of recording in the grinding ladder, I like that a little bit better. We see there's a lot more flavorful matches in here, you know, and not necessarily just a ton of mono red. And what I want to go for is I want to go for you know, a lot of back and forth. So that's kind of what the game plan is now. Instead of going for the constructed queues, it's simply just grinding up the ladder and having fun and giving commentary along the way. So our opponent will end up going for Growth Spiral. Let's go for Anticipate and Restless Contempt. And I think at this point we'll just go ahead and grab we'll grab Op because we definitely need to keep up with this ramp. We need to get some sort of card advantage on our side of the battlefield. And you can see how quick Growth Spiral really allows them to just get off to such a quick start. We'll get down Plains, and then we'll go and pass the turn, because that's going to keep us open for Sinister Sabotage. We can go for Opt and go for Anticipate, and hopefully that allows us to kind of catch something. Yeah, we definitely want to stop this this route from our opponent. That's not going to be good for us. Now, one of the things that we do have in here that certainly helps, and we definitely want to put Water Grave on top. One of the things that does help us against any sort of Golgari, some sort of Guildgate deck, is that we do have Mortify. That's going to allow us to stop that enchantment. So let's go and shock in Water Grave. We're going to pay 2 life, and then we'll kick it back over to our opponent. We've got Anticipate. Well, I guess if we wanted to go for Thought, we could. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's go for Thought instead. So we're going to have our opponent reveal their hand. Let's see if we can't just cherry pick what we're going to... Ooh, double Hydroid Krasis. Okay. So we can go for Route. That would definitely... Yeah, because they're going to get cashed in some really nice card draw. I'm almost tempted just to go for Hydroid Krasis. And then... maybe we get lucky for another option for stopping Hydroid Krasis, because we can play around Gates Ablaze. I mean, it's not the best. I don't really enjoy it. If they get out route, that's fine. But yeah, I don't think we can survive double Krasis like that. And let's go and dump Opt into the graveyard, because we want to see if we can't hopefully anticipate that our opponent's going to go for route next turn, get those Guild Gates down, and then set up for a really nice Hydroid Krasis. Because typically with Hydroid Krasis, what you want to do is you want to get at least for X is going to be 3. Ooh. Kaya's Wrath, we have Absorb. And we definitely have enough for Absorb. That'll be an answer for... but either way, once we end up going for... let's see. No, excuse me, we've got an extra Thought Erasure in our hand. Yeah, so we'll go and grab Absorb off of that. Yeah, somehow I missed that one. So we'll definitely go for Thought Erasure next turn. That allows us to grab that second Hydro Krasis. Yeah, for some reason it was all the way over on the left side. And then we'll go and Shock in Watery Grave too. That way we can be on for, yeah, pay 2 life. Any certain way we need to sequence this if we want to leave up double blue or Mortify. Yeah, because if we go black, that's Thought Erasure. That's going to keep us open on Mortify and at the same time keep us double blue. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go for Thought Erasure. We're going to get rid of that last Hadroid Krasis. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what we want to see. And then Hollowed Fountain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we're okay with having it on tap. We can use that for opt, and that'll put us in a position to where we can hopefully kind of start bouncing back. So I was really worried about those double growth spirals, but you can see where we've kind of gotten to the point where we might have stabilized. They're going to go for opt main phase. Yep. That's fine. We want to hold on to Absorb at this point right now to see if we can't kind of catch something like Guild Summit or any other sort of option. There we go, Guild Summit. We don't know what that last card is. We could go for Absorb, but I'm okay with using Mortify on this, even if they cash in an extra card draw. Yeah, and either way, they're still going to tap it down. So let's wait for them to tap down these lands, and then we'll end up going for Mortify to get rid of that Guild Summit. Another thing that you definitely want to do is get rid of Guild Summit, because as the game wears on, that's just a free card draw every single turn. It's like leaving an open Phyrexian Arena. It's just not what you want to be seeing. Okay, so we draw into Hollowed Fountain. We're going to have Absorb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll just go and have this come into play tapped. If we end up going for Absorb, opt from 1, puts us on 2. I guess, yeah, we'll pay 2 life, because let's say that we hit Anticipate off of opt. I definitely would be able to cast that. So let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent with an open board of mana. They've got double Gates of Blaze. They're sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total gates too. So, but yeah, I've been kicking around a Temur Gates too, and it's a lot like this, where we're just straight up going for Hydroid Krasis, and it's a fun deck. I'm really enjoying it. And I think I've, yeah, actually, yeah, you've probably already seen the series by now. I forgot that I recorded it. I couldn't remember. I've been doing so much arena content lately that I can't remember what I haven't done. So, magic stuff just runs together. So let's go for opt, and then Kaya's Wrath. Since we've got Vraska's Contempt, I mean, it'd be nice to have Kaya's Wrath if things get a little bit nutty. I think that's a safe bet. Yeah, I'm not wild about drawing into it, but I mean, I'd rather have it than not have it. Oh, and then we draw into Spawn of Mayhem. So we go for Spawn of Mayhem. Let's wait until we get one more land to go for Spawn of Mayhem, because we want to have Absorb back up. And then if we do get down Spawn of Mayhem, we're just going to look at a Gates of Blaze. They can even go double gates, which would really kind of set the tone for what our opponent's got going on. Let's go for Glacial Fortress. And that'll still keep us on Absorb. I think that's fine. Yeah, we'll go for Spawn of Mayhem. And if we're worried about them going for Gates of Blaze, most of the time you're running 3-4 copies. We can try to cash in and Absorb on one of these Gates of Blaze if we wanted to, but I think at this point, since this is the first threat that we've gotten down, Guild Summit. Yeah, we're going to stop that Guild Summit for sure in a heartbeat. So that's going to clear the way for them to go for Gates of Blaze. If they want to, that's perfectly fine. We stop the producer, and that's Guild Summit. That's what really kind of makes this deck shine. So, all right, we draw the Sinister Sabotage. So we replace the counterspell in our hand, and then nothing else. Yeah, we can actually go for Sinister and Kaya's Vraska's Contempt. So we'll just go and pass the turn to our opponent. See what they decide to roll out for the turn. But this is exactly what Esper wants to get. You know, get to a point to where we've really dealt with everything that they've done. You saw how quick of a start they got off to. Sinister Sabotage is... Yes, we could go for Vraska's Contempt on that Gatebreaker. Yeah, I think we're okay. Yeah, I like going Vraska's Contempt. That'll definitely allow us see what if they want to get anything else out for the turn. And then at their end step, we'll go for Vraska's Contempt on that Gatebreaker Ram. Because swinging in for an 8/8, that's a pretty good little chunk of damage right there. That it certainly does add up. Okay, and then we draw into Godless Shrine. So let's go ahead and dump Godless Shrine onto the battlefield. Have that come into play tapped. And then kick it back over there. But you can see how many gates they've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once they end up going for... Yeah, I think for another route. That's fine. They get down 6 gates. You can get down the Gate Colossus. And that's just it's free sometimes. I mean, you just end up with an 8/8 that's free, and then you have Rhythm of the Wild, and that is that's some good magic right there. But at this point right now, win or lose, this has been a wonderful game. I've really enjoyed what it's been so far. So let's go for Thought. Let's go for Thoughtseize. Not necessarily. Ooh, let's grab that Hydroid Krasis. That sounds like a plan for me. We're 3 for 3 on grabbing Hydroid Krasis with Thought Erasure. I am so happy. That is a win in my book. And then anything else. Yeah, you always want to catch in Hydroid Krasis as soon as you can, man. That's just, in a matchup like this, route, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we're getting to the point where it's just kind of draw go. We know they have double Gates of Blaze up top. It's kind of the twin towers of pain. So we're gonna have to fight through that. But at least if we do get down some sort of threat, Hollowed Fountain. Okay, have that come into play tapped, then going past the turn back over there. Thankfully, with Sinister Sabotage, we can stop what's going on. Gate Colossus. I think we end up going. Do we go Sinister on this one to dig a little bit deeper? Yeah, because we need to get some sort of card advantage. The way we're going to win this is card advantage, so I want to dig a little bit deeper into our library. Watery Grave is not card advantage, that is a land. And then we'll pass it back over to our turn. We still have this safety valve of Kaya's Wrath to Angel of Grace. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We can flash that in at the end of our opponent's turn and kind of get around a Gates of Blaze and deal a little bit extra damage to our opponent. I think that'd be pretty good. Ugh, Nexus of Fate. I mean, that's not too bad. Nexus of Fate is something that is not too much fun, but you know, if they've just got double gates, that's okay. But you can see we're going for Nexus of Fate with something like we got dueling. Well, actually, we'll flash an Angel of Grace to see if they want to cash in the Gates of Blaze. Give them the option. I think that might be pretty good. Yeah, I like that. So let's flash an Angel of Grace. We could do this during their end step. They definitely do have Gates of Blaze online. And so that way we can just kind of have dueling angels. And they are at 41. All right, so they will end up going for Gates of Blaze. I like that. It's going to put it in the graveyard, and that kind of keeps us free open on this Kaya's Wrath. Because either way, Angel of Grace was going to be eaten by a Gates of Blaze no matter what happens. So, ooh, Mortify. Okay. And anything else? No, we're going to go and pass the turn. So we at least got some sort of spot removal. If we get down another big creature, we can stop that creature. Oh, another Nexus of Fate. Okay, so that's going to be this is why I was talking about we need to get some sort of card advantage. So with that Nexus of Fate, it's basically like a 7-mana draw another card is what they're getting down. And with us sitting at 19, and once they get down some sort of sizable threat, even if they tap out for a Hydroid Krasis, that would not be good for us. But thankfully, we've dealt with all 3 Hydroid Krasis. That's pretty good. That feels good. When you play Control, there's just sometimes where you end up with these like little moral victories, and that is certainly one of those. All right, we're gonna go and pass turn to our opponent. I wish Sphinx Revelation was legal in this set. That'd be so good. I mean, Azor is legal, but it's hard to get a Sphinx Revelation when you got a 6-mana creature like that. Sometimes it's a little rough. Uh-oh. Okay, so we've got Explosion for 7. That's not good. You're keeping score at home, and there's the not good box. You can certainly check that box because that is not good. They're going to deal 7 damage and get a fresh grip of 7 cards before they untap, which is probably going to put us into Nexus of Fate range. And uh-oh. Okay. All right, so they're going to get down the Gate Colossus can certainly go back on top of the library. We do have some answers. We have Cast Down, we have Mortify, we have Kai's Wrath. So if that 7 was a dud, which it probably wasn't, but if it was a dud, then we can, let's see if they decide to tap down a bunch of gate cards. More than likely, they're going to draw a ton of cards. And then hopefully they just overextend into a board wipe. That would give us something. But we'll try our best. And, you know, this reminds me of the game I played the other night where I just decked myself. Like, because it just, you know, kept finding answers, but we just couldn't really get anything done. Nexus of Fate. Let's go Mortify on Guild Summit. Yeah, we'll go Mortify on Guild Summit, and then while they're tapped out, we'll go for Cast Down on Gate Colossus. So at least it's going to make it to where they can take an extra turn, but there's no threat on the battlefield. We are sitting at 12, and then unfortunately we don't have enough mana for Angel of Grace, but I at least like dealing with the threat. They're going to get down another Gate Colossus, get down another Gate Colossus on top of their library. Gatebreaker Ram, yes, come on, extend into this board wipe. Guild Summit, okay. And they're going to definitely be able to get down that extra Gate Colossus. They can almost taste it. And look, see, this is where that deck is just nutty. You get down to 14/14 Ram, which is just makes everything about Magic just beautiful. Growth Spiral, yes. You know, if they don't have an answer outside of, you know, triple Gate Colossus and Gatebreaker Ram, then we can certainly just clean this up with the board wipe. So we'll see. Okay, so Chemistry's Insight. Let's go for Kaya's Wrath. Actually, let's go. Yeah, let's go just straight up Kaya's Wrath first. So we're gonna go for Kaya's Wrath. Destroy all creatures. That's going to put those Gate Colossus back into the graveyard, which is not the best thing for us, but at least it's going to give us opportunity to go for Chemistry's Insight. Probably not going to win this one if you're keeping score. Nexus of Fate, yeah. Even if we rip into a counter spell, we don't have enough mana for that. So that's going to be Nexus of Fate. And this is where this deck wants to be. The Temur Gate deck, this is exactly, you know, late game, tons of mana, just start ripping a ton of Nexus of Fates, just being able to recur Gate Colossus, you know, turn after turn once it gets on top of their library. It's just pretty wild. All right, so extra Nexus of Fate. Yep, that's fine. We'll still leave on the one card in our hand, and then I think that's one extra turn, take an extra turn. They've got all the very nice triggers over here. And then, yeah, we'll kick it back over there and try to jam this Chemistry's Insight. But as far as this winning, I mean, it's not looking good. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we'll probably end up decking ourselves by the time we get to that. The only thing, oh no. X is 12. We'll go for Chemistry's Insight, but that is a very metal way to get game to our opponent. You can see where that explosion really just makes it a wonderful deck to play against. So anyway, opponent's going to get it on this one. Get game to our opponent. I'll take an explosion for 12 to close the game out. That's beautiful. Anyway, catch you in the next one. Welcome to Esper Control. Hope you're excited to get some board wipes going and get some really nice card advantage. Oh yeah. As far as our opening hand goes, we got double Watery Grave, which would definitely put us on for Thought Erasure, but we are really far away from Kaya's Wrath. But I kind of like it. Hopefully we're not playing against mono red. If we're playing against mono red, this is probably going to be a good game. But yeah, we're going to keep on this one. I like keeping a little bit riskier hands sometimes. So we're going to have this into the battlefield tapped, and then we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Keep our fingers. There we go. CF4. So that makes me happy. Let's get down Swamp. Yeah, this will work out. Let's go for Thought Erasure. Let's kind of see what our opponent's got cooking in their kitchen. And that's going to be a Bristling Boar, Titanic Growth. So we're just playing against straight up just mono green. So at this point right now, Vigilance. We've got the Vigilant Baloth, Greenwood Sentinel, and then Bristling Boar. I guess at this point, we just kind of go for the Greenwood Sentinel. I think that's okay. If they want to flood the board, they certainly can, or we just want to grab a boar. Yeah, let's just grab one of the Greenwood Sentinels, and then anything else we'll just... Yeah, Godless Shrine will definitely leave that on top of our library, because that'll certainly allow us to start going for Kaya's Wrath and getting down to Fairy, and then going from there. So, and then let's go ahead and shock in Watery Grave. That way we can at least kind of leave up Sinister Sabotage. So we're going to pay 2 life, and that'll put us on for Sinister Sabotage, digging a little bit deeper, and then hopefully we can get down to Fairy, and then getting some good stuff like that. All right, so we got Greenwood Sentinel swinging in for 2. That's going to knock us down to 16. And since we're not on for Kaya's Wrath, let's go and get Godless Shrine, put that in play tapped. And then, well, yeah, we'll go and pass the turn, and hopefully we'll get that 5th land to get out to Fairy, and that allows us to really kind of start pushing away some of these creatures. But yeah, so playing against Mono Green. I haven't seen Mono Green in a little bit on here. I know it is a little bit popular, but we are grinding up through the ranks, so it's kind of fun to see random decks like this. Now, Lana War Elves, do we want to... Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we're good with fighting over a Lana War Elves. We've got another Sinister Sabotage in our hand, too. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'll be able to dig a little bit deeper. And Cast Down. Yeah, I like that. We saw a ton of non-legendary creatures from our opponent, and that'll definitely kind of slow the roll, stopping that Lana War Elf. So we got the Sentinel swinging in for 2. That's going to put us down to 14, and they're going to throw the Titanic Growth on top. All right, so we're drawn to Cast Down. Yeah, they're simply just going to go and pass the turn. So if they do end up going for another sort of Titanic growth on Greenwood Sentinel, we can certainly stop it with Cast Down. But we'll see what they decide to roll out, and we probably might end up going for Sinister Sabotage. This deck's been a lot of fun. You know, one of the things that if you're looking to get into Arena and play the best of one format, is you're just kind of building these good stuff decks, you know, especially Esper Control. Like this Esper list that I've built, you know, some of these are, you know, most of the time it's most of the cards that I own, but or that I happen to currently own instead of having to use wild cards for it. But they just kind of end up making a really nice pile of cards, and once you kind of learn to pilot those, they end up being a lot of fun. Now we can't, well actually, yeah, I think I kind of like leaving Anticipate on top. So we leave Anticipate on top, that allows us to hit that 5th land drop, and then we can still keep us on for Cast Down. So let's go for Anticipate. Look at the top 3 cards of our library. Let's grab that Island. There we go. Let's get down Island, and then anything else, we'll kick it back over there. So we know they do have Vigilant Bailoff in the hand. It's a 5/5 with Vigilance. So we'll probably be using this Cast Down on that. But we are sitting at 8. So we haven't stabilized yet. So if we can hopefully get this Kaya's Wrath to go off pretty soon next turn. In fact, if we can hit a white source, that would certainly work out for us. If we can kind of go for a little bit of a board wipe, depending on what they want to get down. But Thorn Lieutenant. Comes the build of a targeted spell, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Okay. So if we end up going for Cast Down on that, that's not a legendary creature, we can certainly take care of it, but that will end up being another elf on the battlefield. Now at this point right now, do we try to end up going for Cast Down on Sentinel just to kind of preserve 2 life total? I think we do. Okay, so we're going to go for Cast Down on Greenwood Sentinel. And you can see where like this mono green deck from our opponent, it's definitely putting some pressure on us. Skitty gets down to 8, and we're having to use Cast Down on that. Glacial Fortress, that is exactly what we wanted to see. Okay, so they definitely do not have enough for the activated ability. We'll get down Glacial Fortress. Let's go for Teferi. We'll go for the +1, be able to untap 2 lands too. Let's go ahead and draw a card. And if we wanted to, we could put Thorn Lieutenant on the bottom, but at this point right now, we just want to dig into more answers for whatever's on the board. And then Dream Eater, that is pretty good. We'll go ahead and untap 2 of our blue sources. Let's untap Watery Grave, and we'll untap a Godless Shrine. There we go. All right, so release representing the Sinister Sabotage if we want to go for that. And then depending on what they get down, if they do end up hitting that land drop, that will allow them to get down Baneloth. That allows us to clean up with Kaya's Wrath. And thankfully with Thorn Lieutenant being a 2/3, that's still going to allow us to basically just sit here and just keep on tapping with Teferi. And then even if they do finally deal with Teferi, we've got Super Secret backup Teferi in our hand, which we can get it back down. All right, so double Kaya's Wrath in the hand. Let's go and go for Teferi draw. We're going to draw a card and then untap 2 lands. So we hit Drowned Catacomb. Let's get that down. Let's go for Kaya's Wrath. Since we at least have another Wrath in our hand, I don't mind taking care of this Thorn Lieutenant. And then we're going to be able to untap 2 lands. So double, let's go Godless Shrine and then Glacial Fortress. Okay. And we'll kick it back over there. If we can deal with this Colossal Majesty, we definitely want to go for that because that's really going to allow them to cash in some good card draw. Yeah, and that's going to be at the beginning of your upkeep. So let's go for the -3. Put Colossal on the 3rd from the top. And then I think if we just go for a main phase Dream Eater, that'd be pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that'll give us a ton of stuff to do. In fact, let's just go and pass the turn. And then once we drop in this Dream Eater, and once they swing in with Baloth, what we can do is bounce it back to the hand and kind of chew up whatever they've got going on. All right, so let's see if they decide to swing in. Let's go and flash in Dream Eater. And also the cool thing about flashing in Dream Eater is that it's going to still put us on for op, so that way we can draw whatever we want off of that Surveil for 4. He's going to eat the dreams of that Vigilant Baloth. We're going to get the Surveil for 4. Definitely want that in the graveyard. We're pretty much okay on lands. And let's get rid of the Hollowed Fountain. Yeah, we'll leave that to Sinister Sabotage on top. And we'll go and bounce Vigilant back to the hand. Definitely want to take action on that. And then we'll go for op. That way we can just go and get this out of the way and then pass the turn. So we'll draw into that Sinister Sabotage. And then that'll kind of clear the way for us next turn. And also still keep us open for any sort of Teferi stuff that we want to go for. And that does put us on a 5-turn clock swinging with Dream Eater too. So, okay, drawn to another opt. Let's go, if we end up going Teferi, yeah, I like this. So we go Teferi +1, draw a card. Untap a couple lands. Then we end up getting down plains. Let's go for a super secret backup Teferi. And then we'll still get that. We're going to keep the Teferi for 4. We're going to go for the -4 on Vigilant Baloth. And then we need to untap 2 lands. So yeah, we're still going to go for opt. That way we can just dig a little bit deeper into our library. Restless Contempt, that is perfect. Exactly what we want to see. Let's go and push him with 4. It's going to knock them down to 16. We should get that. Yes, we'll get that other Teferi trigger. And then we've got Godless Shrine, untap Drowned Catacomb, we'll untap Watery Grave, and then untap Glacial Fortress. Okay, that keeps us on for Restless Contempt double black, also keeps us on for Sinister Sabotage, and then we can just start clearing the way to swing in with a Dream Eater. That's pretty much exactly what the deck wants to do. All right, so we're going to go for the +1, draw a card, then untap 2 lands. Ooh, drawn to Spawn of Mayhem. Let's go and push it with Dream Eater. Yeah, and this is exactly what the deck wants to do. You know, get down some really good early pressure, and then just start taking it in the air with some... and we've already have that. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's get the spectacle going for Spawn of Mayhem. And even though we are sitting at 8, this is perfect for us because it's going to get that +1 counter on there. And then anything else, we'll get the untap. Yeah, we'll simply just go ahead and pass the turn. Untap Watery Grave and untap that island. There we go. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to put us at 6 total mana. Actually, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we can go for 7. Do we want to Sinister Sabotage that? No, we're okay. Yeah, that's not the biggest threat for us on the battlefield at this point. We'd rather hold on to Sinister Sabotage or whenever they get down that Baloth too. So, all right, let's go for Opt. We're going to be able to scry 1, draw a card. Kaya's Wrath, and I think at this point we'll just go and put that on the bottom because we want to get at least some sort of spot removal. Mortify, there we go. In fact, let's go and cash in this Mortify on that Colossal Majesty. That way we can just cut off any sort of card advantage that they want to try to generate, because that's going to be the way that we can close this one out. So we're going to have 1 damage being dealt to us and to our opponent. Let's go for the plus off of Teferi. Drawn to Hollowed Fountain. Let's go and push in with the crew. That's going to be 9 damage coming across. Now, if they have something like Vivian Reed, they can certainly stop some of the flying threat, but at least we've got Sinister Sabotage to kind of back that up. All right, it's going to knock them down to 2. We'll put in Hollowed Fountain into the play tapped. That way we can untap it with Teferi. And it's going to keep us completely open up Restless Contempt and Sinister Sabotage. And then next turn we can swing in Vigilant Baloth. We're going to go for the Sinister Sabotage. Just make sure the way is completely clear for us to swing in. And then they're going to go and scoop it up. So we did basically what Esper Control wants to do. You know, we controlled the board. They got down some early threats. They got us all the way down to almost 6 or 8. And we were able to kind of stabilize at that and then just rebounce with... kind of rebuild with a ton of card advantage and just basically bouncing stuff back to their hand and going from there. But yes, we're going to be slowly grinding up with this deck, and I will see you in the next game.